All right, it's Memorial Day, the 25th of May, 2026, and I'm back in Mark. So I've been wrestling with the numbers from the feeding of the 5,000. So we have 200. The disciples said we needed 200 denarii to go into the market to buy the food for 5,000 men and their families. We have 5 loaves of bread. We have 2 fish. And we have 12 fragments filling up 12 buckets, barrels at number 12. And we have the number 5,000. So, as I said, they all mean something to that crowd, to that group. The words tied to the numbers. And remember, Jesus is training 12 disciples. They are going to be his ambassadors, his messengers of his role fulfilling the Torah. So I learned something over the last couple days about the tribe of Jesus' origin. So going back into Chronicles, where they're revisiting the sons of the firstborn, Reuben, I want you to hear this. Now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, he was indeed the firstborn, but because he defiled his father's bed, his birthright has been given to the sons of Joseph. Now, who are these sons? They are Ephraim and Manasseh. And when Jacob blessed them, he flipped the hands, right? So Ephraim got, even though he was second-born, he got the blessing, Ephraim, the son of Israel. So the birthright was transferred from Reuben, the firstborn, to Joseph, the son of Israel. Again, we get so tied up in the name Israel. Everything comes out of Israel. Everything comes out of Torah. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 comes out of Torah, comes out of Moses, comes out of God's cloud, comes down with his communication with a man that is Jewish, a priest. The Mosaic line. He's also a prophet. Without these people, we know nothing. We are clueless about Jesus Christ. He was given to the sons of Joseph, the son of Israel, so that the genealogy is not listed according to the birthright. Yet Judah prevailed over his brothers. And everybody says, Jesus technically does come from the line of Judah, and from him came the ruler, although the birthright was Joseph's. So the king, David, came out of Judah. Jesus is going to sit on the throne of David forever in Israel, over the tribes of Israel, the children of Jacob. But the birthright, the inheritance, goes to Joseph. There's another idea here. Let me see here. Is it Micah 5? Okay. Verse 2, it says, "But you, Bethlehem Ephrath, though you are little among the houses or the thousands of Judah, yet out of you a ruler shall come forth in Israel, whose going forth are from old, from everlasting." So where is Ephraim? Where does it come out of? Well, over the last few chapters, we've been dealing with the Sea of Galilee, all these cities and towns. Jesus was raised in Nazareth. It was off the Sea of Galilee, but it was in that region. Zebulun, Asher, these places that made up the northern kingdom that was dispersed. Jesus is raised in that region, and the Sea of Galilee is in that region. Even what happened with going to Decapolis area, going through the storm, the fierce storm, to set a man free from 2,000 at least legion of demons. Jesus was making a statement to the world, to the nations that he is the Son of God. He is in charge of everything. Okay, so we got to keep all that in mind, that everything is connected in Mark. Parable of the sower, tied to the heart. Light in a basket, we don't put it under a bushel, right? Parable of the seed, the growing seed, how it develops into full bloom, that it's a process, and Jesus is the finishing of that process. Then the storm, why are they going through the night to this place? North wind, violent, from the four corners. Jesus immediately stills the storm. But what does the sea represent? It is where Leviathan is in Job. It's Behemoth. It is in Revelation, comes back, and it says the sea monster is going to come back, right? He's going to be involved with the Antichrist. He's going to be involved with the great deception. He's going to be involved in son of perdition action. He's going to deceive, and he's powerful. But who tamed him? When Jesus tamed the storm, then he took those demons who knew him before the disciples did as the Son of God, the Son of the Most High. They were put into 2,000 swine, which went into the sea, back to the sea. The sea is where all the evil comes. The Jews believe that out of the sea comes the titans, the monsters. Gaza's by the sea. Their enemies are out of the sea. Siren Titan is from the sea. So Israel's enemies come from the west and the east. They are bound on both sides. And so Jesus leaves the man that was healed of this horrible demon power of the legion, and he's the first evangelist to the Gentile nations that were scattered at the Tower of Babel. So he goes out and he becomes the voice of God, his story. And it impacts, obviously, that part of Galilee that was Bashan. That was where the 200 angels came down from Mount Hermon, that region taken over by the nations, worshiping idols. This man is the evangelist of Jesus, not only saving Israel, but he's saving the nations with his message, with his life, with his power. He is the one prophesied in, we just read in Chronicles, the ruler that comes out of Israel. Then he heals the woman 12 years with sickness. 12 tribes are sick, spiritually dead. They're looking for their Messiah. They've departed. They've committed adultery spiritually. You look at the girl, she's 12 years old, that he raises up from the dead. He's raising up Israel. He's raising up the 12 tribes. He's restoring the 12 tribes. He lives in the northern kingdom that was sacked by Assyria in 722 AD, where the Samaritans operated, where Jezebel and Ahab had their authority, where Elijah did his work, and Elisha, where Amos went, I believe. And then we get to chapter 6, and he goes to Nazareth, and he doesn't hardly do anything there. It's off the Sea of Galilee, but he goes to the synagogue he was raised in, and he teaches, and only a few people get healed because this man was known to them. They knew him as a child. They knew him as a young man. They knew him as a worker, business person, a big brother to his little brothers and sisters. Then he anoints the 12, 2 by 2, and he tells them to preach the kingdom, what they knew of it, cast out demons, and with oil, heal the sick. Then we get John the Baptist. So I went back and visited, who is this great? He's the dayspring that goes in front of the Son of God, the bright beaming sun of truth, the light that's come down in a human body. That's the light that we bear. as sons and daughters of the Most High. We are to bear that light in our human body, in our life, in the way we talk, in the way we think, in the way we walk. That's what Jesus brought to the earth. A spiritual heart way of being. Back to communion with the Father through the Spirit, like Adam had in the Garden of Eden. This is about Edenic restoration, earth restoration. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So John the Baptist is removed by this erotic dance. And Herod, who is the son of Herod the Great, who was killing babies when Jesus was born, he's technically not as powerful as his father, but he's still referred to in Matthew as the king. And the king acts as a fool because of an erotic dance. And he takes off the head, which was a sign in that culture of defeat of the message. But here's Jesus, the true message. He was a forerunner of Jesus. He had to decrease and Jesus had to increase, and he's increasing. Now he's overwhelming and the whole Sea of Galilee region, including the Bashan area, which was given over to the nations. The polises, the Greek cities, where all kinds of bad stuff was going on. And we're getting closer now, even when feeding the 5,000, he's back in Jewish territory, Northern Kingdom territory. And so these numbers are tied to understanding of a Jewish raised person, Torah taught person. And so I want to highlight a couple things here in the account on the feeding of the 5,000. So the first idea that's presented is rest. Come aside, we're busy, we're tired. You've been out, you've done your work, you've gone city to city, you entered houses, you healed people, you cast out demons, you're physically. So he is giving them rest. It's like time to rest. So he is our rest. There is no other rest for me, for you, for any human on this earth that's ever lived but Jesus Christ. He is our rest. So they departed to a deserted place in the boat by themselves. So they're going to an unknown kind of place. But the multitude saw them departing, and many knew him. So the popularity issue. Jesus is very seen. He's the Son of God. He's now getting well known. They ran there on foot from all the cities around that side of Galilee. And they arrived before them and came together too. So they knew where they were going. And Jesus, when he came out, saw a great multitude. And he was moved with compassion for them. So this is a multitude of Jews, a multitude of Northern Kingdom people. I'm sure there's people from Judea there, Southern Kingdom people. But he saw the multitude and was moved. Why did he come? I dealt with this before. Why did he come to earth? Put on human flesh. Compassion, mercy, love. There is no love word defined other than with God and his Son. Gave his life so that we might live. There is no other love that we can describe that's beyond that love. When God dies, puts on flesh, all the pain that we feel physically, emotionally, in our life, all the challenges, setbacks, sicknesses, emotional breakup, pain, parents dying, family members dying, spouse dying, all this pain he bore in his body, the death pain. And that's why he came. And he has compassion on the multitude. Now the day was getting late, and the disciples came to him and said, "This is a separated, deserted place, and the hour is late." And he says, and the disciples tell Jesus, and this is very interesting, this section, tell them to go buy themselves bread. So what is Jesus? The manna. I say it often. He was that manna that they ate for 40 years in the wilderness, which was a deserted area. It was a traversing area. It was not filled with beautiful vegetation and nice houses and vineyards and so forth. They had to be sustained with God's food, which was manna. Now these people they're not in a desert place, but they're in a deserted place. There's no city life around. There's no marketplace. And they've got women and children too. So you can only move at the pace of your youngest, slowest person. And they need food. That's what they're saying. Like, they're tired, they're hungry, and they're in a deserted place. But Jesus said to them, you give them something to eat. Why? Jesus knew they didn't have the wherewithal or the knowledge to feed the people, all these people. But he said, you give them food. What is Jesus training them? He just sent them out 2 by 2, right? To do all this work for the kingdom, because they're declaring kingdom words. The kingdom of God is at hand. It's here. It's now. You give them food, which is words, which is a message, which requires faith, which we need today to believe these words. Now you give them that food. That's what I'm trying to do for you. I'm giving you word food. And Jesus tells these young, learning, itinerant people that are going to become great apostles sent by God to launch the so-called age we're in, which we call the church age, but it's really the ingathering. He's going, you give them something to eat. So we have a commission. Anybody called to preach and teach the word of God we are to give them food. We're to give out his food, his manna, his truth, which is what I'm seeking to do right here. But they said to him, here it is, sorry. But he answered and said to them, you give them something to eat. And then they said, shall we go and buy 200 denarii worth of bread and give them something to eat? Now, this is man's mind. This is natural thinking. This is logic. This is where most Christians live. They don't live in the miracle side. They don't live in the spiritual understanding of the word of God. They're technical. They're about doctrine. They're about, this is what we believe and why we believe, and they don't even know the history of why they believe it. They just believe it because it keeps it easy for them, because they agree with the club they're in, right? But it's dynamic. It's way beyond our understanding, the gospel, this heavenly message. But they use the number 200. So what does that refer to? Well, we don't get it from Genesis, but we get it from the book of Enoch. It was exactly 200 angels that left their abode and came down from their heavenly position where they were supposed to stay. And they decided to build a super race, Nephilim, and they lay with human women and produced an offspring of giants that Caleb and Joshua went in and defeated. Moses, Og, king of Bashan, which the demoniac, he was in the graveyards of that Bashan area, the sirens, the people, the spirits of the kings, the ancient kings, was living and moving about and controlling that territory. And there's places in America, the exact same thing. You're dealing with spiritual, ancient things from the past, and these people today that lead us commune with those spirits to get power, and they do, to reign, to lie, to deceive. We're fighting those kind of spirits. And Jesus had those spirits manifesting all over the place in the Jewish people and obviously in this demoniac. And the sea is where they come out of the sea. They're in the depths of the sea. That's where Leviathan is, the sea beast that no one can tame but God. And these angels created this force of evil that we fight even to this day on the earth. And 200 shekels to buy regular food, basic food, marketplace food that will only feed you for the moment. It will only satisfy your immediate hunger. That's what Satan created in man. Live for the moment. If you just give yourself to me, I'll give you wealth. I'll give you pleasure. You won't have to keep all these Torah-based principles and rules. You can do your own thing. That's the lie to Eve. Be your own God. Be your own person. Take care of yourself in the natural way. Pride. It's all pride. And the disciples could have looked to Jesus and said, okay, Master, what do you want us to do? No, they threw out a logical human answer to Jesus' question. He says, you feed them. And they thought, oh, naturally, let's go buy food with money, 200 denarii. So that, to me, as I felt like God gave that to me, so I'm giving it to you, it's a referring back to what they did back in the days that caused the flood, where God washed the whole earth, reset everything, killed all those people. But the thing you need to know about those giants that were killed at the flood is that their bodies are laying in Sheol, but their spirits are looking for bodies, and they go out. All these dead giants, their spirits go out. So we have Pilot Mountain right here. I always call it the graveyard of giants because it looks like a hump like this, that God buried the giants in Pilot Mountain and Hanging Rock, our region. It's like the mountains away from them. They're little mountains away from the main Blue Ridge Mountains. And when I go to the top of Hanging Rock, and when I go to the top and Pilot Mountain, I look out, especially Hanging Rock, I see it's like a graveyard of giants at the time of the flood. When I look at the rock formation at the top of Pilot Mountain, it sticks out like a nipple. You see these lines. It look like the receding waters of the flood, demonstrated over time as the waters receded. That's what to me, it declares is the ancient flood. It's not the millions and billions of years that the park rangers tell people. It's an emblem from the flood and the 200 horrible angels that destroyed mankind with lies, sorcery, technology. They built fancy cities. They're currently building the AI model to merge the human with the machine. All these ideas come from the deep. Then Jesus said, how many loaves do you have? Go and see. So they had to go find out, how much bread do we have? And they found 5 and 2 fish. Now, the number 5, how many books are in Torah? 5. Jesus is Torah. He wrote Torah with his own tongue directly to Moses. Moses wrote it down. And then 2 fish. Now, you can look at the 2 tablets of stone here and say, okay, that represents the law, the 10 commandments, 2 tablets of stone. But where did fish come from? The water. Where did Jesus come out of? The rock. Water came out of the rock. He was the water that nourished them. So you've got 5 representing Torah, grace. On the 5th day, God made the fish of the sea and the birds of the air. And then 2, the number 2 is witness. And it represents, to me, the signification of without water, without that life that comes from water, without the sea being divided, right? Jesus divided the Red Sea and the Israelites passed through. Then he commanded them to sit down in groups on the green grass. So we now know it's not desert. And they sat down in ranks. So this tells us that God is an orderly God. Jesus is in charge of this. He set it up in a pattern, in a order. God orders history. God orders humankind. God is the divider. God is the edge of a territory for this person and for this person. All the nations are divided up by God. He allowed them to have their place. Hundreds and fifties. And when he had taken the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, He looked up to his Father in heaven, where ultimate power comes from. Now he blessed and broke the loaves. So who has the power to break Torah and to fulfill Torah? Jesus. He is Torah. He is breaking it up and distributing it out. He is the bread of life, feeding it to what? We know 5,000, but we're going to find out that there's 12 barrels full of leftovers. He's feeding the people, the 12 tribes. He came to fulfill the holy covenant that he made with Abraham and his seed. And he divided the 2 fish. So he divided the sea, where the fish come from. He's in charge of their divisions. And the fish, he got the first 4 guys he calls are fishermen. James, John, Andrew, Peter. They're fishermen. They're on the Sea of Galilee, throwing out their net, bringing in fish, and then they're selling the fish. He divided the fish and distributed it to the people. Who does that? Only God. So they all ate and were filled. They took up 12 baskets full baskets. That means they're completely satisfied. They're refreshed. They have been fed to the fullest measure. All the people, and it comes back as 12 full barrels of fragments. So that means Jesus came to fulfill the promises to Israel. And 5,000, well, 1,000 is a powerful number. As I say, 1,000 years equals a day equals 1,000 years. That represented the epoch of time, but it also represents grace. And a congregation represents 1,000 people times 5. So it's a multitude filled with people that were hungry, and they all were satisfied. All grace. God's grace lavished upon these Jewish people. He still wants to lavish his grace upon the people of Israel. Nothing's changed. The dirt is still the same. The story is the same. It doesn't matter what the rabbis have written. It doesn't matter what the Christian church has written. The word of God, Yeshua and his calling, his genealogy, his earthly ministry, his words need to be studied, need to be meditated on and wrestled with, not just accepted at face value what men say the doctrine is. We need to get back to those scriptures, to the ancient texts, study the ancient words coming out of Israel. It all comes out of Israel. The whole Bible comes out of Israel. If they don't preserve the word, if the Essenes, think about this, final thing. The Essenes were a sect that wrote the Bible, preserved it. They're the ones that put the manuscripts, papyrus and leather, whatever, in the clay jars, in the Dead Sea area, Qumran. They stored it for future reference. Now think about when the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. 1947, a shepherd boy throws a rock, boom, and then all these excavation people come in and they get all these scrolls. And what did we find out? The Bible's 100% in line with the ancient text. But when does Israel become a nation? At the same, roughly the same time. Don't tell me Israel got there because of Balfour, English will, nobility. God controls nobility. God controls the forces of nature. God controls all these ideas about one worldism and whether it's going to be that way, that the deception's coming, or another way. God's in charge of the third temple being built, the land, the peace that's required, the Muslim concessions that will go in play, the Arabs getting involved, allowing the third temple to be built. All of it he's in charge. So where should we be in that? Shouldn't we be at rest? Shouldn't we be confident in God's plan? Shouldn't we be sitting, I'm talking to me, shouldn't I just be resting in the truth? If I have it, if we have it all. May God bless you.